Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry and back again here at FantasyLabs. Doing another model preview, this time of the running back position, which I'm excited about. I'm recording this on Wednesday, and I decided to include every game on the weekend, or actually, not even say the weekend, throughout the week here in week 4. We have the Thursday game, we have the London game, we have the Monday Night Football game, so just for you guys, I wanted to make sure I included every running back so you have thoughts on guys on different slates. And as you can see here, the Cincinnati running backs are both rating really well versus Miami in this model. So if you are playing Thursday contest, something to consider. Let's take a look here at my model. I built a unique model for the running back position. That's something I do, again, a ton here at Fantasy Labs. I build a lot of models. And that's another way I actually build a lot of tournament teams is I make different models and do different things, narrow down player pools so I can make 150 lineups on the different slates. And it's something that I absolutely love here at Fantasy Labs. So let's take a look specifically at this model. I made it more for a cash game, so I think this model will help identify some great cash game plays. And let's take a look at what I used and why certain players are popping. So I have Vegas score here at 15 points, and I think it's something that's really important. In general, there's a big trend, which you can also look at here on Fantasy Labs with our trends tool, with running backs who are home favorites. And that's something I'm almost always looking to do, is take running backs who are at home, where they're a big favorite or a favorite, and you can basically get a lot of production out of those guys, and historically that is back tested really well. So that's part of the model. I also have opponent rating at 10, which is something critical, and I think this rating is going to get even better as the year goes on once we get more and more data on these teams and specifically how they do against certain positions. So I like that stat. It's predictive, and I think it's only going to get better over time here at Fantasy Labs as we get more data on how teams are performing against certain positions. I have projected points per dollar at 40, so this is the bulk of my model. I'm really proud of the projections that we have now here. In addition to a mean projection, we have a ceiling and a floor projection, which I think are really important to look at as well. And you can actually sort, if you do here, by raw projections. So we have low guys and then the high projections. So just a raw projections, we have David Johnson first, Le'Veon Bell 2, Melvin Gordon 3. And I certainly agree with those 3 as the top overall running backs in terms of raw projection. So going back and sorting by rating, which is something that I think is really cool here, just to see how players are doing with the model and their salary. That's a big part, obviously, of what we do here. So scrolling a little bit farther down, I have projected plus minus at 25, another proprietary stat here at Fantasy Labs that's really predictive. I always am baking this into my model at every position, and it's no different for running back. And then I did a couple things here. I basically had the meat of my model up above, but I also put in projected floor for 5 points, and then I put in consistency at 5 points. And because this is a cash game model, I want to make sure I have higher floors, and I want guys who are going to consistently do well for my cash games. So pretty happy with what it spit out. It's projecting at 6 points above expectation on DraftKings, which is fantastic. And I think the plays that are rating really well are phenomenal plays for the most part. So the chalk running back on DraftKings this week is going to be Melvin Gordon. I anticipate him being the highest owned. Saw a record percentage of market share for him in the Chargers backfield. Obviously, Danny Woodhead is out, so we got to love Melvin Gordon. Chargers have an incredible team total going against the Saints. They're at home, and I think there's basically no reason to fade Melvin Gordon in cash. Certainly becomes a bigger factor or a bigger decision when you're looking at him for tournaments, but there's nothing not to love here with his new role and what he's doing. The only thing I don't love to see is his yards per attempt, but I think that will normalize, and I think that over time, Melvin Gordon will develop into the running back we saw at Wisconsin. Not overly bullish on him long term, but I think that he will do a little bit better in terms of yards per carry going forward. But the big thing here, huge favorite, great matchup, tons of opportunity, and there's a reason he's rating as the number 1 running back here at Fantasy Labs. Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill, the next 2 guys, I think both these guys are in play. It's very interesting if you're playing, shorter slates with this game included. I certainly think you have to look at both of them. I liked what I saw out of Jeremy Hill last week. Really ran the ball effectively, 17 attempts for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Broncos, which, I mean, that's a really impressive feat to be able to do that against Denver. Obviously, I have a ton of respect for Denver. I'm a huge fan, but the 5.7 yards per carry was fantastic. The one downside with Jeremy Hill is that he doesn't catch the ball, which is what Giovanni Bernard does exceptionally well, is catch the football. So it's tough, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this won't be applicable here in a couple days. But you have one guy who has the touchdown and rushing equity, and then you have the pass catching running back. So do with that what you please. I think both are certainly fine options for these shorter slates, and if you're playing on the Thursday through Monday slate, I think they're both in play as well. Mark Ingram's the next guy. Really was happy. He helped me qualify for the DraftKings live final. Got in that last receiving touchdown, which got him over the top, and needed a little over 20 points from him, and he got 22 against the Falcons. I love that he got a lot of opportunity in this game against the Falcons, and I think the Saints are going to do more to make sure he's involved in their game plan going forward. So even though I like Melvin Gordon more, I certainly think Mark Ingram is a nice play. Jared McKinnon, the next guy on the list, love the upside of McKinnon. Kind of surprised he's rating so well in this model given how poorly his fantasy production was against Carolina, but definitely had a lot of attempts, and this certainly is a good spot for him. He's a freak athlete, and against the Giants, I certainly could see him having a really nice game. He's more of a tournament play for me than a cash game play, but I think he's still nice. The next guy is Carlos Hyde, and this is one of my favorite plays on the week. I don't understand really what's going on with his price. It's consistently dropped, and his production has been solid. He was 5,600 against the Rams, went off for 23 fantasy points. Then in Carolina, really tough matchup, tough spot. Didn't have a great game, but still got the volume, especially when the game was close. And then Seattle, he goes into Seattle and he goes for 21 attempts and 2 TDs with a catch and 28 fantasy points. Now he's 4,200 at home against Dallas, which is it's not the greatest matchup because Dallas really holds the ball and they're great in terms of time of possession, but I still love the spot here at home for Carlos Hyde, and I think he's really benefiting for playing under Chip Kelly, who's always done really well, especially in college for running backs. Strolling through here, some other names. Cameron Sardis-Payne, I'm not probably going to have much exposure to. Same with Matt Asiata and Matt Jones. I do love David Johnson in this spot. I think David Johnson will finish the year as the number one running back overall, assuming he stays healthy. I really like what I've seen out of him. He gets a ton of targets in the passing game. He gets a ton of rushing attempts. He's one of the best athletes in the NFL, and he has an incredibly high floor. Through 3 games, his lowest production has been 17 points versus Tampa Bay, who does have a good run defense. I think David Johnson is in a great spot against the Rams this week. Tough spot for Arizona last week going into Buffalo when they were desperate. Now they get to come back home. I expect Arizona to throttle the Rams, and I think David Johnson will be a big part of that. Strolling a little bit farther down, LeGarrette Blount certainly is in consideration. That's a guy I normally don't play. I like pass-catching running backs on DraftKings, but I certainly get it if you like him. The opposite end of the spectrum, you have Theo Riddick, who is heavily involved in the passing game, 9 targets last week. If they get down in this game to Chicago, he could be a great play. It could be a great play regardless because they're going to throw a ton in Detroit. Frank Gore, I don't play old guys as much. Duke Johnson, I'm not on. Same with Forsett. Heard some sharp people on Dwayne Washington, so definitely pay attention to him. He's rating all right. And then another guy that I absolutely love is Le'Veon Bell. I think he's a fantastic play. I know he hasn't played yet this year. I know D'Angelo Williams has been effective, but for my money, it's Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson as the 2 best running backs in the league. And against Kansas City, I think this is actually a pretty good spot. So get some Le'Veon Bell in your tournament teams, and I actually don't hate him for cash. I think he's strongly in consideration. The one guy who's rating low in this model, and I think will end up changing some of his projections here, is Jordan Howard. We have him projected at 10 points. I think that's a little low. At 3,700, I really like Jordan Howard. He's going to get a lot of opportunity in this game because Langford is out. He's the one guy that I think's rated a little too low in this model. So for cash games, I definitely think Jordan Howard makes a nice play, and certainly in tournaments at his price, if you want to get some other stars in, he is a fantastic play. couple other guys just to comment on real quick. I think that Charles Sims has a great DraftKings play in general with his role now, assuming Doug Martin's out. But if you know anything about me, I'm a huge Broncos fan, and not even being biased, I never take players against the Broncos. I might have to get maybe 1 or 2 shares of Sims across my lineups, just because we saw what Hill did, but I still am more likely to end with 0 Charles Sims than anything, even though he is the perfect kind of DraftKings play. As you can see here, 8 targets, 6 catches. That's really what made him a great play last week. He's not a great runner, in my opinion, but he's great out of the backfield. And then just kind of scrolling through some more, I think Crowell is a really interesting play against Washington, who's given up a ton of points to running backs. If you look at Isaiah Crowell's game log, it's fantastic. His yards per carry are just incredible. 7.4 versus the Ravens, 5.2 versus the Eagles, 5.3 versus the Dolphins. Now gets to go against Washington, who's been a sieve against running backs and are missing a lot of key players on the defensive side of the football. So I think he's a good play. I like Ezekiel Elliott as well. Benefits from the pace. Hasn't been, he's been impressive. Last week was a little unlucky, considering how many touches he got that he didn't get into the end zone. Alfred Morris and Dunbar did get in. I think that we will see him be a big part of the goal line situation going forward. They invested the 4th pick in him overall, and I love the opportunity that he's getting rushing behind that elite offensive line. That's kind of really it in terms of guys I really wanted to touch on. Happy to see Christian Michael a little bit farther down. I think the Jets are phenomenal against the run. They were last year, and they've been elite again this year. His price keeps coming up. He will be the guy. Rawls will be out, but I'm not buying him going into New York to face the Jets. Just too tough of a matchup, and I think there are better options. Lamar Miller is another guy that we should at least talk about a little bit. I think he's a great tournament play because of all the opportunity he gets. Just has been unfortunate not to be on the right side of touchdown variance. So I love the Houston passing attack, but Lamar Miller makes a nice, I think, contrarian tournament play. I don't think a lot of people will be on Lamar Miller in this spot. So that's kind of the gist of it, guys. Here you can see some other names in this model. I think that especially some of the guys here at the top make a ton of sense. In particular, Carlos Hyde, Melvin Gordon. I definitely think Mark Ingram's a nice tournament play as well. Love David Johnson and love Le'Veon Bell, too, if you're looking to spend up. So, again, make a lot of models when you're here at Fantasy Labs. If you're a subscriber, I think it's extremely beneficial to see who's popping based on what you weight. And obviously looking to see more Fantasy Labs subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.